Hello everyone, and welcome to our series Getting Started with Alexa. My name is Jeff Blankenberg, and I'm our Chief Technology Evangelist here at Amazon. We're going to get started with this series talking about all the things you need to know to get started building your first Alexa skill. Before we get started, I always like to take a step back and think about what an Alexa skill really is. You can think of it the same way that you think about the apps on your phone. It's an app that has been built specifically for your Echo device. You can talk to it, you can interact with it, you can do all sorts of things, and there are hundreds of thousands of skills out there today. You can go shopping, you can play games, there's even little utilities to help you do your math homework or think about a to-do list. These skills are built in a way where there's a front end and a back end, the same way you would think about web or mobile apps. The back end is what you would expect. It's a whole bunch of code with some logic sitting behind it that makes decisions about what's going to happen to the user next. Now, in a mobile app or a web app, you would have new visuals, new things that would show on the screen. But with Alexa, we primarily focus on what Alexa is going to say to the user next. Now, we can also add in visuals. There's a technology called APL that we'll cover later. But for now, I just want to think about how we build an app and how we get the conversation started between a user and your code. An Alexa skill is made of two parts. There's the front end and the back end, the same way you might think about a website or a mobile app. When we talk about the front end of a skill, I like to use the example of a DVD player. All of us have used one before, so it's a really simple analogy. If you think about the buttons that are on the front of your DVD player today, you probably have a pause, a stop, maybe a fast forward or rewind button, definitely an eject button. But I want you to imagine that DVD player is only voice enabled. And so as you talk to it, you have to say things like play and pause. But you're not just going to use those specific keywords. You might say, it's showtime or start the movie. In all of those cases, regardless of the words you used, you're talking about a specific intent. You have the intention of making the video play. You might also stop it or eject the disc. But in any of those cases, those are all different intentions that you have. We call those intents, and those are what make up your interaction model. It's also important to note that a DVD player doesn't check your bank balance or order you a pizza. And it's important to make sure that as you're thinking about your skill, that you're only focused on the things a user would expect your skill to do. Another place you're going to want to pay special attention to is our Alexa Tech Docs. Think of it as the encyclopedia of everything that goes on inside Alexa. With that, I like to use the analogy of a car manual. Sometimes you just want to get started, you hop in the car, you fire it up, and you drive away. But if you need to know how something works inside that car, you pull that manual out of your glove box and you dig through the pages until you find the thing that you're really trying to solve. That's what our tech docs are. There are guides for all sorts of information related to Alexa skill development, but also step-by-step instructions about every bit of every API. It is completely thorough and very, very valuable when you're building Alexa skills. On top of that, we have a really robust search built right into the tech docs so that you can find any page you're looking for at any time. And when you search and click on something that you want, it even opens it in a new tab so you don't lose your place on the page that you might have been working on. This search bar is also available in our developer console, a tool you're going to become very familiar with as you move through this process. In addition to our tech docs, we also have 3 other resources that I want to share with you that give you access to all sorts of information about learning how to build Alexa skills. The first one is the Alexa Learning Lab. This is a customized training designed specifically to walk you through all sorts of unique lessons about how to build things inside Alexa. One of the first courses we launched was on APL, which is the language you use to create visuals inside your Alexa skills for devices like the Echo Show. In addition to that, we also have a tutorial called Cake Time. It walks you from start to finish through building your very first skill, and you learn a lot of valuable lessons along the way. Finally, we have a ton of resources available on our GitHub. It's at github.com/Alexa. And there you'll find not only the code for our SDKs, but also sample code for all sorts of different projects you might be thinking about. It's a really great way to see a bunch of code that's already been written and understand how those people, those developers, were able to build those skills. Okay, now that you have all of those resources at your fingertips ready to go, it's time to come up with a skill idea. Now, if you're an individual and you just want to build yourself your first skill, I always recommend build something that you would use yourself. What is something that you would want to talk to and get information about? Much like every mobile app you've ever used, Alexa skills go through a certification process that includes both automated and manual tests to make sure that you're adhering to the policy and certification guidelines that are set forth in our tech docs. You'll find in those requirements there's all sorts of rules that you want to make sure you're following as you build your skill. If you don't read these, if you don't know what's inside these requirements, it is very unlikely that your skill will be published. Make sure you take the 5 minutes to jump through these certification guidelines and make sure that you understand what's required of you before you get started. There's no worse feeling than spending a bunch of time building something awesome only to never have it see your customers. One of the best ways to decide whether or not you have a really great skill idea is talking with your colleagues, your friends, and your family. But in addition to that, you can also try in our Slack community. Ask the developers that are there, hey, is this a cool idea? Do you think people would use this? I think you'll find very quickly that you'll get feedback on whether it's a great or not so great idea. Now that you have your great idea, it's important to understand the science of conversation. The Alexa Design Guide helps you understand the principles of voice design so that you can create skills that are natural and user-centric. Conversational design is significantly different than building for web or for mobile, even if you have visuals included in your skill. Spending time in the design guide will really help you validate your idea and save you a lot of time in the long run. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you've got an idea or two you're excited to get started with. Your first step is to create your developer account. I recommend using the same login you use to shop with Amazon. It'll save you time and it can make testing your skill much easier in the future. I also host weekly Alexa developer office hours on Tuesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific. Come chat with me and you can ask your questions live. Finally, make sure to join us for the next videos in this series where we will be building an Alexa skill from scratch. Take care, and I hope to see you in our community soon.